We're recording. You're listening to the Tune Up and Jam podcast. Ready? Go.
Hey everyone, you're listening to episode 24 of the Tune Up and Jam podcast. Episode 24.
Tune Up and Jam.
All right, tune up, turn up, get down, start jamming. Welcome and karibu. Karibu. Yeah, it's welcome in Swahili.
Swahili,
yeah. I'm still on the welcomes because we're still in the 20s. Episode 20s.
So
I
we
have to
gotta
do
do more
welcomes.
episodes.
Yeah, welcomes in the 20s, and then when we get to the 30s, I'll pick something new.
All
There's
right.
hello and something else, and thank yous and all those.
All right.
Now we're at welcome. So we're back again. Finally, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
It's been a couple of months now.
It's been
But
quite,
that's
it's
for
been
good
more than a
reason.
couple
It's always
months.
good reasons why we take long breaks. Because we've been busy.
Yeah, really busy doing what?
We've been doing lots of musical stuff. Stuff related to music, playing music, hanging with musicians, things like that. So we are musicians first. We always say that to people.
Yeah, that's why we get a little too busy to even do even a couple episodes.
I know. We probably should do more here and there, but
Yeah.
you know.
We'll make it a point because
Yeah.
our objective, or part of one of our objectives, is to get other musicians on here to talk about themselves and to promote themselves. So we've been meeting so many people. We just have to make the schedule to bring them in. And
Yeah.
have them on.
And if any of you are listening who we've met in the past few months, we've talked about, the podcast together with you. We're gonna have you on. We're gonna contact you, and we'll have you on. I know we've been following some of them, and they're releasing some stuff now. Some of our old friends, like Kira Lingman, just released something on Spotify, a little EP, a couple of songs that she released, maybe a week or two ago. So good for her. David Rogers, our first guest.
Yes.
He's coming out with something in just a couple of days. I think he's Francis hooked me up with a laptop. It's nice. He's got a release coming out on the 15th. May 15th. It's Songs for a Generation. David Rogers.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He was our first ever guest.
Right. I was watching some of the videos on Facebook that he's posted, and really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, did you see the one he did on April Fool's?
Actually, no.
He did a April Fool's video, and it was about this new way of playing really fast notes. And it was something about like with his knuckles or something. It was like his new technique that he was using, but it ended up being an April Fool's joke. So it was completely ridiculous, and he had all these little sound effects in the background. It was pretty funny. Like it took you a while if you didn't really get it, like to know that you were being fooled.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good job. Yeah, he did a good job. Anyway, David Rogers, you're the man. Hope you don't forget about us.
Yeah, right on.
And then Francis and I, lest you think we're just kind of old metalheads, which Francis
We
is.
are, right?
We are, yeah, but we're not just metalheads. Francis and I actually even played in a little theater gig, kind of local, musical.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We played in Shrek. We were the musicians in a production of Shrek.
Yeah.
And for all you people out there who think you just want to rock out, sometimes it's fun to get out there and get your feet wet in something else. The microphone keeps falling over. But that was a good time.
Yeah.
And we met Mitch with the piano player.
Yeah.
Mitch is
Yeah.
going to come on with us. Mitch Kaplan. He's going to come hang out with us. He's another one of our new friends that we're going to bring onto the podcast and talk about some experiences.
Yeah, that always.
Stupid microphone. I was going to hold it.
Yeah, sorry for all that handling noise. Rich is he's fidgety. He's
Yeah.
unsettled.
What the thing's falling the whole time. Anyway.
No, I was gonna say that. So I was on bass and I was having to sight read a lot of the parts, and that's always a challenge. Not being number one, not being a bass player, reading in the bass clef, and there's a lot of guitarists. We're not, we don't typically read every day, so the reading gets a little bit rusty.
It is weird. It is weird when you have to read, especially. I mean, reading itself can be challenging if you're not used to it. But when you're getting these Broadway scores that they ship in from New York, and you got to play, and it's really totally out there. A lot of these songs are just way weird out there. Not to mention the fact that this particular production used 2 different scores.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So added on a little bit of extra challenge for us. But hey, it worked out, right? We had fun.
Yeah. No, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea to put yourselves in uncomfortable situations musically to, for the benefit of learning. Yeah.
It
always helps me out.
Yeah, and by the way, I can read the drum music too, even though that one was a challenge.
Yeah.
So you and I both, we don't do it that very often, but it's good to get your chops back with that.
Yeah, and
So-
what I've learned, I don't listen to a bunch of musicals or and that genre, but I've always noticed that sometimes there isn't necessarily a logic of structure when you think where the tune is going, and then it changes keys just randomly because perhaps one of the actors or the parts parts in the story, and who knows what the exchange of dialogue or the exchange of lines in the story is. It's like it could change like ridiculously fast, and it just goes on to just some completely different structure.
Well, the rule is it's never logical.
Yeah.
At least what you're used to.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's fun. And if you're not really ever interested in going to check those types of shows out, it's actually your chance to, playing in it's a lot different. Like if you don't think it's your thing to go check it out, to watch it, if you get a chance to play in it, you still get the experience, have fun, and then you might end up kind of liking it, kind of enjoying it as part of it rather than a spectator of it. You might enjoy it that way more. And then you start to know these things. If you do it over time, you'll start to know all the classic musicals and the new ones and whatever. And then, it just becomes part of your library,
Yeah. Well, I have to say there's a lot of songs out there, or, in the productions that we've been a part of, I honestly didn't know where those songs originated from. And I'd hear them growing up in commercials or, out in just random places. Never had a clue where it was originally from. And then now when I start hearing it in the music, in the productions, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I found that happens a lot too, even with not necessarily that, a musical number or whatever, but anything that's out there even now. I don't listen to like pop radio, let's say, but somehow I'll know a song. I don't know where I know it from, how I know it, but you hear these songs somewhere and then you find out where it's from or whatever. And a musical is just another one of those kind of musical numbers from a Broadway music or whatever. Is one of just another example of a song somehow, wherever, commercials, whatever.
Well, it's
and
funny.
then you see it in context, and you're like, oh, okay.
But
That's
that
weird.
the younger generation of musicians or music listeners, they can get used to a version that's put out today, by contemporary artists or real young artists, not necessarily knowing that it's either a cover or it's borrowing elements of the music from a previous generation's music.
Yeah. Kind of like movies now.
Yeah. Yeah, they do recycle a lot of movies, huh? That's pretty much the formula now.
Yeah, it is. I feel like time hasn't changed much. I mean, think of all the movies that are coming out. There's Star Wars. There's all these comic books that have been around forever. They're just movies now. Godzilla was made not too long ago. They're going to make another one. King Kong. It's been around since the 30s.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
seems like
it's. I mean, I'm sure people get into it, and there's a simple reason why they make it, because it can
Of
make
course. Yeah.
it sells. So if people are into the characters,
Yeah.
I guess that works.
I guess. Not much of a movie person myself, though. So
Really, I love movies,
yeah.
but I don't like a lot of them.
Well, that's I don't want to go and then regret them. I'd rather go to a concert. Speaking of concerts, there's a lot of good shows this summer coming around.
Yeah, there's one rumor, which as of today, I don't think it's been verified, but there's just talk about it. The Desert Trip this year, the concert.
Wait, that was the one last year they called Old Cella, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So this year there's a lineup that frankly it doesn't really excite me. However, the rumor going around currently is that Led Zeppelin may make an appearance there.
Now, where's this come from, though?
I honestly don't know. I've just been hearing that on the radio and seeing it online, various news reports. So yeah, I can't say how.
So wait a minute. Do you happen to know the lineup off the top of your head? 'Cause I remember seeing it and thinking it looked more like a chili cook-off or something like that. Last year it was pretty good. It was like Paul McCartney, and you had Roger Waters and the Stones and the Who and Dylan, and I think who else was there? Neil Young. There was 6, right?
Yeah.
Two each night, and it was.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are classic. I mean, those are hard. Those are solid, classic rock. Legends that you would want to see. So you would think that this year would be. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to get all those older guys still, and the legends. There's not too many around anymore. But you got to get something.
Hold on.
But
Hold that. How do they say? Stop the presses?
Yeah, stop the presses.
As you're talking, I'm looking up, trying to see, all right, what's the lineup? The first thing I get, this is off of Billboard.com. It says Desert Trip not returning in 2017.
What? When was this dated?
It says 5 hours ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 5 hours ago. We're not doing Desert Trip this year. The concert promoter and Coachella founder tells Billboard. We love 2016 Desert Trip. That was a special moment in time. Maybe someday in the future we'll do something similar.
Well, there you go.
Well, all right, forget it.
Seems a lot of people felt the way I did about the lineup.
Here he goes. I'm reading down here. It says, many music fans have been hoping for a Led Zeppelin reunion 2017, potentially as headliners for Desert Trip. Wrong. Psych. All right, forget that.
I didn't believe it from the moment I heard it.
Yeah, you know what?
They've been saying that for how long?
Yeah.
It happened like twice, I think. It happened. They had those concerts at the O2 Arena back at maybe 10 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago. At the O2 Arena in London, they had a quick reunion.
Yeah, which I think they recorded. I think that's the one where they had. I think it was for Celebration Day.
Yeah.
And from what I had heard was, I think Robert Plant didn't want to tour because he had just gotten off a long tour anyways. I forget with who, but the band wanted to take it out on tour, and he's just didn't want to go.
Not having it.
Yeah.
I think I remember the only other time they all got together as a reunion as Led Zeppelin was way back in the 80s. That Atlantic Records
I remember
anniversary.
that one.
Remember they got together? And it was televised. It's the only time I remember the three original members getting back together to play.
No, well, there was Live
as Led
Aid.
Zeppelin.
Well, there was Live Aid.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, Live Aid. Oh, except that's one where Phil Collins participated, and
Oh, yeah.
but they had
It was 1985 or something like that, right?
yeah, something real early, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure it lived up to that.
Oh, and that's the time with the legendary Queen performance.
Was that?
Live Aid, yeah. That's
Yeah.
one of their legendary performances. It was only 20 minutes, and then from front to back, it was just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, actually, I remember watching bits and pieces of that while it was happening.
Oh, Live Aid, wasn't
yeah.
that? That was over several continents or something like that.
Oh,
Several.
I think
Or
they
was
had
it
it
Live
in-
8? That was that one, because they did a second one. Bob Geldof. That's when Pink Floyd reunited.
Oh, okay.
At
then
Live
that-
8.
All right, then that's a different one. So Live Aid was, I think it was held in two stadiums. One in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So they had the stadium in Philly, and then they had something in the UK.
Right.
And so
And I think
so
they
that
did the
was just-
same thing in Live 8, but I think that one was also maybe in several other countries as well.
I don't know, but
I think that was the 8 there was 8.
You know what I
different
get the
ones going
feeling though? I get the feeling we should probably check our facts before we start blabbing on.
Yeah, probably should. We're just going off. Okay. Anyway, there's another thing that's been on my mind.
What's on your mind, Rich?
So we get into playing music, typically when we're younger, and you think, as anything you want to get into, and you start liking it, you want to improve, you want to get better, right?
Okay.
You start thinking, I like this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like what other people do in this field. I want to be like that. I want to be like this. I want to learn this. I want to learn that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get these dreams, and you think they're going to take you somewhere, and you want to meet other people and get better with other people and learn from other people and hopefully be appreciated as you continue to play and get better.
Okay. I'm with you so far.
Right. Well, that seems to be one way of making it. at least not, I don't mean making it, but to be appreciated as a musician.
Okay. Well, I look at it as if from my perspective, I was always a music fan, right? I was a huge fan of music as a little kid. My brother had been the one to expose me to a lot of, the rock bands, that had been coming out, and I appreciated this and that. But then in my early teens, that's when I really got into the mindset of trying to learn an instrument. And once that hit, it's kind of like gets bitten by the bug. Once that started for me, it was like no looking back. And this was, I think, even beyond the whole thought of, I want to make it, as a musician. It was so intense, the desire to learn the instrument and be good at it, that all I did was practice.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. School was, I took care of the school part. It was a challenge to have that focus, where doing your homework, because not all I wanted to do was play and learn, And then, of course, you decide, if I love this so much, why not try to make it try to make money off it, make a career, etc.
Right. And the same with me. I mean, I would come home and play my drums for hours in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that feeling of that I was improving. That there was something to that, like, I couldn't do this yesterday, but today I can do it. That's so cool.
That was an exciting part.
Yeah.
Every time when you hit those milestones of learning a particular part or learning a song, and then when you learn a complete song.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could play along with it from the beginning to end.
Right.
And then without thinking about it. Remember, you could do it, but you'd have to concentrate. And then there was a point where you could do it, and you didn't even have to think about it. It was just kind of motor memory or muscle memory.
Right.
And you were just able to do it.
There were always markers that you could check yourself on.
Right.
And it didn't always come quickly, but it always came eventually. Once you
as long as you kept working on it.
Yes, and that's really the key. Is once you apply yourself and you just focus on the learning part of it, you inevitably get better.
Oh yeah. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you're going to do it.
So what's your point? I'm sensing you're going in a particular direction here.
Well, there's that.
Okay.
And we know a lot of those people because ultimately, as a musician, you start to play with other people, and they have their own history of doing essentially something similar to what you did to get to the point where you met each other and decide to play together, right?
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is seems to be other ways of pursuing or maybe performing without all of that.
Okay, you're going to have to enlighten me. Without all of that, without all the practicing?
Yeah.
You have a lot of you have a lot.
I know.
Rich he's just so fidgety. He
know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stand. And I'll put it on a stupid mic stand and you got to have like mic stand music for me when I set this thing up. Okay. Do this.
I'm sitting. That's all I hear in my headphones.
I know. What was I saying before you interrupted me?
Before I interrupted you with all the handling noise, which is still happening right now.
I know. Damn it. Better?
Hey, wait.
But now I'm all tangled up.
Everybody take a listen.
All right, I'm back.
We just took a brief moment of a brief pause so Rich can get some clarity.
All right, let me put it in an analogy.
Okay.
So let's say I could bake a cupcake really well.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay, I believe you.
I never was taught how to bake a cupcake. I never read about how to make a cupcake. I just had a knack for making a pretty good cupcake. Fairly consistently, right?
All right.
I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew a couple of the ingredients and everything. I just happened to be able to make a cupcake, right? And some people were like, wow, you make a pretty good cupcake. That's not too bad. I'm interested in seeing if you expand on this and start making cakes and different types of cakes or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, yeah, that'd be cool if I could do that. I'd like to make bigger, better cakes, but I'm really good at this cupcake. Do you want to maybe throw a party with me? And since you can bake cakes too, you make actually bigger cakes. I'm only at the cupcake level. You make big.
So now
yummy cakes.
you're assigning me a duty of making
Yeah, you're
cakes
also, by the way, you're also a baker who makes cakes, but you're farther along in the cake baking category than I am, right?
now? All right.
And so I say, you know what? I know you and I know several other people who can bake some pretty damn good cakes. Hey, let's have a party. Let's throw a cake party, right? And I'll have my cupcake, and you'll bring your cakes, and then we'll have a cool cake party. And sure enough, people come and they love your cake.
Right.
And they love everybody's cake. And then I go, wasn't that a great party that I had? And all those cakes I had? Aren't you amazed at how I put together a nice cake party with my cakes?
Okay.
Okay, so where's this going?
And my cake too? And everybody else's cake?
Everybody else's cake, yeah, but, I threw the party. And I,
Okay.
had the cake. Even though mine was a cupcake. People like my cupcake,
All right, Mr.
Well,
Cupcake
okay,
Man.
so anyway.
What's your point?
Further down the road, you start to say to me, you keep making the same cupcakes. You going to do anything else? You're going to start learning how to, maybe ingredients go together a little bit better so you can be a little bit more consistent with your cupcakes. Maybe make some bigger cupcakes, better cupcakes. Here's what you could do. You can maybe, read about some, how the ratios of maybe sugar to flour and, this icing or that icing, how they complement each other or whatever. That might be helpful and to improve on what you already have a good foundation for.
For cupcakes.
For cupcakes.
Okay.
Right? And then I would say, well, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but whatever. Every time we throw a cupcake party, it's a success. So why would I want to do that? Right?
All right. With the same cupcakes.
With the same cupcakes.
Okay.
And then I think, well, you know what? I'm going to open up a bakery shop. And we're just going to sell a bunch of the same cakes that we always have at parties. Except, Francis, you and all my other friends are really going to be expected to make all these cakes. I'm going to still make my little cupcakes, but you guys are going to make all these cakes, and I'm going to sell them at my bakery shop and have a really successful bakery shop.
Oh, sell them at your bakery
At
shop.
my bakery shop, yeah.
All right.
And I'm going to get credit for it because it's my bakery shop.
Okay.
Okay? You're going to bake the cakes. And I'm going to bake my little cupcakes that I throw together that I'm
The-
really pretty
the
good
same.
at it, but the same cupcakes. And they're slightly different every once in a while. Every once in a while you get a good batch.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly less, one comes out a little bit of a clunker. Whatever. But, fairly consistent. I just throw it together. I don't know what I'm doing. But they're pretty good, right? But you and all my other baker friends make really good bake really good cakes. So I'm going to take all the credit for the great cakes you bake.
Okay.
So how do you feel about that?
I don't know. Depends how good the cupcakes are.
And really, I'm not going to really pay you anything for it.
Yeah. Well, now, once you start talking about a business, it's one thing to throw a party and we all have fun and we all have, we all have a good time. We all enjoy each other's cakes and cupcakes and all that good stuff. Once you make it into a business, then you really have to start looking at a lot of other factors involved. Talking about fair compensation, talking about the market. Do you offer enough of a quality product to really make it, I guess, or to push yourself further along? There's a lot of perspectives on it, but ultimately there has to be some kind of business plan when it comes to opening up a business.
Okay. So analogy over now. We kind of get the idea of the cake and the
Do we need
cupcakes.
swirly music?
Yeah, well, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
But now take that into the music profession.
Okay.
I now am a musician who can do one thing really well. I don't know, pick something. Harmonica.
Okay.
Not even harmonica. Kazoo. Pretty good kazoo player.
All right, Mr. Kazoo.
But I can surround myself by a lot of really good musicians who've been doing a lot of things. and they've been around and they have had a lot of experience. And I'm pretty new to the band game, but I'm pretty damn good kazoo player. Maybe I can even play harmonica a little bit. But I'm pretty satisfied with what I can do there. And I don't really feel the need to get better because you guys are really good and make me really good because, you know, I'm pretty cool.
Well, let me ask you: is this a true band, or is this called the Awesome Kazoo Band?
The Awesome Kazoo Band. What do you think? No, the Awesome Rich Kazoo Band.
Okay. All right. So basically, you want to use the talents of others.
Correct.
Okay. To make, I mean, but that's what we all do when we put bands together. We all put bands together with the hope that the chemistry that comes along with that is something that makes all of us better. Kind of like, you know, what's that? The sum is greater than the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we all use each other's talents, and all right.
Okay. So, but I'm really obviously not the talent adding so much to the band, you know, besides my really good kazoo playing.
Okay. So then two things come to mind. Is it truly a band effort where is the music focused around the kazoo?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. How much say do the other musicians have in implementing their vision?
Well, in my hypothetical scenario, the musicians will be giving me lots of input, but since it's the Awesome Rich Kazoo playing band, I know what's best for the Awesome Rich Kazoo playing band. Even though I don't have the experience that the other band members have, I know what's best, so I don't need to really take into consideration the knowledge or really any of the opinions or anything like that they say, because, you know, I think they're just kind of giving me a little bit of a hard time every once in a while because I'm not really that experienced as they are, but I really know what's best, so that's how it's going to be. But it's still...
So that's really, it's going to go one of two ways. If it's a band situation and the other musicians aren't really being heard or taken seriously, or the advice isn't being, I guess, implemented, it's going to get old for the other musicians really quick. Unless you turn it into a hired gun situation. You want to pay the other musicians to enrich your vision, you know, and help solidify and do something bigger with your vision. Pay any musician out there, or, you know, any hired gun, then you've got yourself a band.
Okay. Problem.
What's the problem?
I don't have money. And the money that we do make, I want to keep it.
Okay, then you've already got issues. Okay, it's not a formula to keep the band together. In fact, it's a direct formula to break up the band.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to move on to other bakers, Francis, since you're not willing to play along.
For me, if I was willing to play along, I think it would be fair for my input to be considered, perhaps my musical contribution to be, or I should say my musical satisfaction to be met, my monetary expectations to be met, all the way around. If not, then yeah, exactly. Maybe I don't deserve, or let me just be straight up. Maybe I don't want to be part of your band. I don't. If that's the way you're going to treat it, you know, it doesn't sound too. Doesn't sound fair.
It's not fair.
Okay.
And so I guess my bottom line is, you know, there's as the kazoo player in this situation who never learned much, never practiced much, never had much experience, does that person, I mean, this is the way the world works, I guess, but does that person deserve break after break, chance after chance?
I don't think...
Is there going to be a level where that kazoo player is is caught red-handed, doing what they're doing?
First of all, I don't think we should look at the world and the situations as being fair or not fair. Sometimes people get breaks, sometimes they don't. Sometimes people, grow up in horrible situations. Sometimes people grow up, with everything being handed to them and they have an easy life. That's just life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this kazoo player going to survive the industry? I mean, who knows? We could sit here and we all make judgments about artists that we think maybe are not as good as either they could be or not to our taste, but it's all subjective.
Of course.
But if you're going to sit there and say, I don't want to, I want to take my kazoo and my kazoo music and just do what I want to do and not consider anybody else's vision or contribution, or I should say, I'm not going to pay you, then you're going to end up...
But yet use their contribution.
Yeah.
I mean, use what you want them to use anyway.
Yeah. I don't think it's a formula to sustain the relationship.
Mm.
Yeah. Eventually you're going to have to always find other musicians because I don't think most musicians would tolerate that.
I don't think so either, but it's just... I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
You don't
It was
know.
just a scenario that popped into my head, and wanted to throw it out there and just kind of see where it would go.
Right.
Um,
Cupcakes and Kazoos.
But I mean, well, I guess
no, it's
I was just thinking why. Sometimes one of the things we're doing here is we talk to younger musicians, up and coming, whatever, and why are you doing this?
mm-hmm.
I mean, we've all, you and me and people we know, we've had opportunities to do some really cool things, and then you have these opportunities where you're like, well, I guess I'll do it, but it's not really gonna.
Mm-hmm.
But why do we do this in the first place? Because we enjoy it, and it's part of us. It's what we are.
I think for me, I guess I can speak for a lot of people that have told me the same thing. It's like you get to a point where it's really just more than a passion. It's just who you are.
Yeah.
It's like I'll be playing music regardless of anything else in my personal life, when the business side of things, regardless of anything else, I will always find a way to play music, continue playing music, continue to try to improve, etc.
Yeah, it really is another voice. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm playing, it's me talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another voice that I'm talking through.
Mm-hmm.
But it is me,
and
it's you. I'm sure when you play guitar, your own style, everything. That's you talking.
Yeah.
It's something you can't put into your own words or write down or anything like that. It just comes out when you pick up a guitar.
So your Cupcake and Kazoo situation is really about that person, I guess, trying to find the shortcuts to better situations and maybe using other people's talents without really improving on your own.
Yeah, and that and questioning why they're really doing what they're doing. Is it for the love, like we said? Is it because it's their voice? Is it because or is it because of the feedback?
The feedback that
because,
constant,
like I said, in the baker situation, people say, "We love your cakes. We love your parties. You always have the best cakes at your parties." That feels good. That I enjoy that. That's why I want to have more parties.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be bothered with learning how to make more or different cakes if so many people are already telling me that they're already great. Why do we need to bother with that? But
so you want to ride the wave of your current cupcake recipe.
Yeah, is that getting anywhere deep inside me? Is that really satisfying me to know that I don't really know what I'm doing? I don't know how to bake a cake. You could throw a cupcake together. I don't know how to really play music. I just know how to play the kazoo, and I'm pretty good at that. But I don't know much about any styles of music or anything. I just know what I kind of do, and I just rely on other people to kind of back me up with that. Is that satisfying?
Yeah, well, that's.
I mean, to me, it wouldn't be. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't really think the question ultimately is that. When it comes to, because everybody has to have their own what is that? Self-reflection on why they do whatever it is they do. But it seems like, and especially this community of music and musicians and supporters, I think you have to find a way to treat each other with the respect that everybody deserves, as artists, as, contributors to each other's careers, potential careers, and even not even the careers, even just from the moment, the moment of playing together and the moment of enjoying this art that we're all blessed to be a part of, because when you end up just using each other without any other consideration than your own benefit, that's going to get old really quick. People are going to realize that really quick. And then next thing you know, you're just always going to have to move on and find somebody else, because I think everybody would get tired of that.
Yeah. And then you ultimately get the dreaded title of being difficult to work with.
Yeah. Hey.
And nobody wants that, really,
Nobody wants that.
In any industry. In any industry.
But there are people that have the lucky breaks, and that for some reason or another, they manage to take it to the next level and the next level. Who knows why? Mm-hmm. I mean, we could argue the level of talent for so many people. It's a subjective thing, but in the end, it's like, how did they get there? Who do they know?
There is a talent for meeting people.
Yeah,
that is a talent. Meeting and talking to people, and
the social aspect it really can't be undermined, because
absolutely, because that could be 90% or 95% of it. You might not know anything about music. You might be able to hum a tune, but if you have the people skills and the networking skills, that might be all you need, at least until your talent catches up with you,
or lack of,
or lack of, whatever it is. I'm just saying, or your experience, whatever it is, catches up with you. But that might, you're right. That cannot be understated. The ability to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. My thought is just you gotta, as a musician, I think it's a good thing to always try to find a way to improve yourself individually, regardless of, the feedback and the adulation you get on, when you're on stage. And you have to just improve as an artist, as a musician, but also, like I said, have the respect of others that you are going on this journey with. You really need to have that respect, and that respect comes in the form of, as a band, either listening to each other's opinions, considering that and implementing that, or flat out paying hired guns.
Yeah.
Paying hired guns to execute.
That'll get you there too.
Yeah. But if you can afford
them, and you got to do it. You got to follow through. You got to pay, and you got to be consistent about it.
Right. And when you don't pay, it'll come back to haunt you really quickly.
Yeah. And have a plan. Yeah. Have a plan and prioritize. That's another thing. Because if you're just kind of winging it, you're going to find yourself a year later or more having gotten nowhere.
Just a feather in the wind.
Just a feather in the wind. So anyway, I needed to get something like that off my chest.
All right.
I don't know why. I had a dream.
You know what? Point taken.
Yeah.
Point taken. There's a lot of different people out there.
Yep.
Yep. So, any case, if you have any feedback you want to throw your way, hit us up.
Yeah. How do they reach us?
podcast@tuneupandjam.com. Or, you know what? You can find us on Instagram or Facebook, and you can message us that way.
Twitter?
Sure. Twitter on Twitter as well.
Yeah, twit us, you twits.
Twitter. All right. Till next time.
Adios.
Bye.